Ever feel like you just kind of lost when it comes to like social situations? Like everyone else knows this secret playbook for building trust, getting people on their side, like staying in control. Well, today we're diving deep into some surprisingly practical advice from a guy who wrote the original playbook on power, Niccolo Machiavelli.
Machiavelli was this 16th century Italian philosopher who wrote this book called The Prince. And it was all about like acquiring and maintaining power, even if you have to like bend the rules sometimes.
Yeah. Like this guy was writing during some pretty crazy times, right? Italy, like betrayals, wars, shifting alliances. Like this was all about surviving in a cutthroat world. But don't worry, we're not talking about like becoming a ruthless dictator or anything.
No.
The goal here is to look at how some of his ideas can actually help us navigate our everyday relationships. So, friends, family, and even coworkers.
Yeah. For instance, one of Machiavelli's most famous and maybe a little shocking ideas is that it's better to be feared than loved.
Whoa. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. Like, should we all start ruling our friend groups with an iron fist?
Not exactly. See, what Machiavelli meant was that fear is a more reliable motivator than love, especially when things are unpredictable. If you think about it, like, people are less likely to cross someone if they're a little afraid of them.
Okay, that makes sense, but how does that translate to, like, just hanging out with your friends or dealing with your family? Like, I don't want to make everybody scared of me.
It's not about being, like, scary or mean. It's more about setting clear boundaries, having the courage to, like, stand up for yourself.
Okay.
Let's say, like, your friend keeps borrowing your things without asking.
Right.
Instead of letting it slide, you could politely but firmly, tell them that you need them to ask first.
Oh, okay.
Then they know you're serious about your things, and they're less likely to take advantage.
So it's more about, like, commanding respect, not, like, instilling fear.
Got it.
Okay, so Machiavelli wasn't all about being tough, though, right? He also talked about this cool concept, the lion and the fox. What's that all about?
Machiavelli thought to be truly powerful, you had to blend the strength and courage of a lion with the cunning and adaptability of a fox.
Okay, I love that imagery. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Like, think about it this way. Sometimes you need to be, like, assertive and decisive, like a lion protecting its territory, But other times you need to be more subtle and strategic, like a fox outsmarting its prey.
So it's about knowing when to roar and when to kind of play it cool, I guess. Give me an example of how this lion and fox thing, like, plays out, in a real life situation.
Okay, so let's say, like, you're working on a group project. One person, like, isn't pulling their weight. The lion approach would be, like, to confront them directly and, demand that they, like, step up.
Yeah.
But the fox approach might be more about, like, subtly taking on more responsibility yourself, show your work ethic, and subtly, like, pressure them to do more.
That's really smart, actually. I could see how that's a lot more effective and less, like, confrontational than just, like, yelling at someone to do their work.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being strategic and understanding the different tools you have. And sometimes the most effective approach is, like, the less obvious one. And that brings us to another one of Machiavelli's, like, key concepts, image management.
Ooh, this is where it gets juicy. Everyone, like, appearances matter, but, like, what's Machiavelli's, like, take on this?
Well, he thought how you, like, present yourself to the world plays a huge role in how much influence you actually have. And it's not just about, like, looking good. It's more about projecting an image of competence, trustworthiness, even virtue. Like, even if you have to, fake it a little bit sometimes.
Okay, so, like, fake it till you make it, but, like, on a whole other level.
Think of it as, like, strategic self-presentation. Like, Let's say you're trying to make a good impression on your new teacher. So you show up on time, you participate in class, you even offer to help out, with extra tasks. Even if you're not, like, naturally the most enthusiastic student, you're projecting this image of someone who is, like, eager to learn and contribute.
So it's kind of like playing a role.
Yeah.
But not in, like, a deceptive way, more like just strategically highlighting your best qualities.
Exactly. And it applies to, like, all sorts of situations. If you want people to see you as reliable, be the one who always follows through on their promises. If you want to be seen as a leader, take initiative and show that you can, handle responsibility.
This is, like, making me rethink how I approach, like, pretty much everything. So we've covered, like, be feared, but not really be a lion and be a fox and manage your image. What other Machiavellian gems can help us navigate the social jungle?
Well, Machiavelli also put a lot of emphasis on like strategic relationships, just like in, the political world, alliances are really crucial in your personal life too.
So it's not just about being friendly with everyone. You got to choose your allies carefully.
Think about it like building a network of people who can support your goals. So these are the friends who will like vouch for you, offer advice, lend a helping hand, or even just be a sounding board for your, ideas.
This makes me think about like how the Romans built their empire. They were like masters at forming these alliances and using them like to their advantage.
Exactly. But, Machiavelli also warned against becoming too reliant on any one ally. He believed that if an ally becomes too powerful, they might eventually turn against you or try to overshadow you.
Ooh, that's a good point. So like don't put all your eggs in one basket, I guess, even when it comes to like friendships.
Yeah, it's about maintaining a balance of power and making sure your relationships actually serve your interests, even if, those interests are mutual.
Okay, so we've got image management, strategic alliances, anything else Machiavelli can teach us about like wielding social power.
Well, one more crucial concept is Machiavelli's understanding of fortuna. It's basically luck or chance, right? And he believed that fortune plays a big role in, like, everyone's life. But that doesn't mean we're powerless against it.
So it's like that saying, you make your own luck.
Exactly. Machiavelli believed that, like, while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you react to it. He called this ability virtue, which is kind of like a combination of, like, skill, strength of character, and the ability to like seize opportunities when they come up.
Okay, so I'm getting this. You got to be ready to roll with the punches, and when opportunity knocks, you got to like answer. But like, what does virtue actually look like in everyday life?
Imagine you're like trying out for the school play, right? You practice your lines, you give it your all at the audition, but you don't get the part you wanted. Someone with low virtue might just give up, decide they're just not good at acting. But someone with high virtue would use that as like an opportunity to learn and grow. Maybe they take an acting class or join the drama club or volunteer to help out backstage. They're not letting this setback define them, they're using it to like fuel their ambition.
So it's all about like turning lemons into lemonade. Or maybe in this case, like turning a missed audition into a chance to like hone your skills and come back even stronger next time.
Exactly. And that's what Machiavelli was all about, taking control of your destiny, even when you're facing, challenges and setbacks. He thought that by cultivating virtue, you could actually shape your own fortune.
This is making me feel like I can conquer the world.
Yeah.
But let's like bring it back down to earth for a sec. How can someone like a teenager, who's just starting to navigate like the whole social world, how can they actually start applying these Machiavellian principles? Like, what are some simple strategies they could use?
One of the most powerful and often overlooked tools is just the power of observation. Like, Machiavelli believed that a ruler should spend a lot of time just watching and listening, learning about the people around them. And this advice applies just as much to teenagers as it does to, like, princes.
Wait, so you're saying, like, just paying attention to what's going on around you can actually, like, give you a social advantage?
Absolutely. By, like, observing people's behavior, their reactions, their interactions, you can gain a much deeper understanding of their motivations, their fears, and even their weaknesses.
So it's like being a social detective. I never thought about it that way.
And once you start paying attention, you'll be amazed by, how much you learn about the people around you.
Okay, I'm like totally sold. But observing is just the first step, right? What do you do with all this information? Like once you have it?
That's where, like, the strategy comes in. Once you, like, understand people's motivations, you can start tailoring your behavior to, influence them.
So it's like you're playing a game of chess, but with people.
You could say that. But it's important to remember that it's not about manipulating people or, being dishonest. It's about being strategic and understanding how to, like, use your knowledge to your advantage.
Okay, so give me an example. How would you use this Machiavellian observation, like to make a new friend?
Okay, so let's say there's like someone in your class you want to get to know better. Instead of just going up to them and like awkwardly introducing yourself, you could start by just like observing them from a distance. What are their interests? What are they good at? What makes them laugh? Once you have a better sense of who they are, then you can find a way to connect with them on, a more genuine level.
So instead of like just barging in, I'm gathering intel and finding like common ground. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It's about being thoughtful and strategic, even in like casual social interactions, right? And that's a skill that can benefit you throughout your life.
Welcome back. Last time we were looking at how Machiavelli's ideas about like power and influence actually apply to social media. And honestly, it's kind of freaking me out.
Isn't it? Social media has become like this stage for showing those same Machiavellian dynamics, even if we don't always like see it.
Totally. We were saying how building a following and like shaping your online persona is kind of like what Machiavelli called image management, right?
Yeah.
You got to like present yourself strategically so it attracts the right people and builds influence.
Right. And I remember how Machiavelli said it's sometimes like necessary to at least seem virtuous, even if, what you do privately doesn't match that image, which gets kind of tricky on social media where everyone's like trying to show their best selves all the time.
Yeah, it's like we're all in this game of like carefully curated authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Got to show a version of you that's like appealing but still believable. Like who wants to follow someone that seems too perfect?
Exactly. It's finding that balance between like wanting to be aspirational but also authentic.
Yeah.
And that means knowing your audience really well, what they care about, what they're drawn to, and what kind of image, actually works for them.
So it's Machiavelli.but, like for your Instagram strategy.
You got it. The best social media influencers, they're masters at that. Understanding their audience and making content that speaks to their desires, what they want to be.
And speaking of influence, we were also talking about how Machiavelli's whole strategic alliances thing plays out in the digital world, right? It's all about those connections, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Building a network of allies who can boost your message and like help it reach more people. Think about collaborating with other influencers, sharing each other's stuff, supporting each other's projects. It's like a modern take on those political alliances from, way back when Machiavelli was writing.
So you're like building your own little Machiavellian army, but online, conquering hearts and minds instead of, actual territory.
That's the idea. And just like in real life, those online alliances can change. Got to be smart about who you team up with and always be looking for ways to like grow your influence.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to like all of social media. It's not just posting whatever comes to mind anymore. You got to be intentional, think strategically, and understand the power stuff going on underneath it all.
And use that power for good too, right? Social media can be a huge force for connecting with people, sharing ideas, even starting positive change.
Sure. It's like any tool build with it or wreck things. It's on us to decide how we want to use that influence.
That's it. And remembering those actions, what we do online or off, they have consequences. That's crucial.
So big picture now, we've covered a ton. Basic Machiavellian thinking to like our personal lives and even the social media stuff. What's the takeaway for our listeners? How do we use these ideas without becoming evil masterminds?
It comes down to what you intend to do and keeping things balanced. Machiavelli's insights are super valuable, but you got to use them responsibly. Power itself isn't good or bad, right? It's just a tool. And any tool can be used for all sorts of things.
So not about being manipulative or like cutthroat, but thinking strategically and being careful about what you do.
Exactly. Understanding people, being aware of what's going on in any social situation, and using that knowledge to, move through the world in a way that matches your values.
I like that. It's like Machiavellian thinking, but make it your own adventure. We take his insights and make the kind of social world we want to live in.
Exactly. And remember, things change all the time, right? So be adaptable, be observant, always keep learning and growing. That's the core of what Machiavelli was talking about.
This has been an awesome trip through this whole world of power and influence. Big thanks to our expert for like breaking down Machiavelli's ideas and showing us how they still matter today.
Happy to be here. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you get about how people interact, the better you'll be at handling life's craziness and reaching your goals.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this Machiavellian adventure. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, power, used the right way, can be a real force for good.